Hi class. This video is going to go over how to open up your Lightroom catalog, how to import your photos. I'm going to go over organizing your photos through ratings pretty quickly, I hope, so this video is not too long. And also I will be going over how to create collections, and also lastly I'm going to be going over how to export your photos. So I won't be going over any editing, but I'm basically just trying to cover all the bases in terms of you being able to import your photos on your own and to organize them into a collection for a certain assignment, like in-class assignments, and also to go ahead and export your images as well. So we won't really get into exporting until a later date, but it's here for you now if you need to see it. So first what I'm going to do is go ahead, let me just double check that my audio is working, and I hope it will. But basically I've plugged in my hard drive, and we already went ahead and we formatted your hard drive already, and we already made your catalog on your hard drive. So that should already be set up. You don't need to go ahead and format your hard drive again, because again, that will erase everything off of it, and you do not need to make another catalog because we already made it. So now every time that you open up into your hard drive here, you can basically just go right into the Lightroom catalog. And here in my hard drive, this is my Lightroom catalog right here. You can see my hard drive is KL Teaching, so I opened that up. And instead of going to the dock here or to your desktop and opening up Lightroom Classic that way, a lot of the times if you, for instance, have a couple different catalogs, or just in general to kind of avoid things going to the wrong place, I would recommend that you're always going to your Lightroom catalog through the LR folder that we created, or rather the LR cat. So we made this 2021 photo, your last name LR folder, which then holds your LR cat, which is your Lightroom catalog. So it's right here. And this blue thumbnail is what you're going to go ahead and double click open. So to show you that a little bit quicker, basically when you plug in your hard drive, you're just going to double click that open, and I can see I'm in my hard drive here. And you'll go into your LR folder, then you'll also go into your LR cat, and then you will double click that LRC thumbnail, which says lrcat.lrcat, and you will double click that open to open up your Lightroom catalog. There's all this information here, the background data, just keep that in there. It's just basically a connection to your Lightroom catalog. So this is the one that you have to open up. And also just, again, be mindful about moving things out of Lightroom, out of your catalog through your photos or just anywhere. So everything, please just try to do your best to keep everything in there. If you do need to move some photos out of your folders, for instance, like your raw files, you can just copy and paste it by going to right click and to copy and then pasting it somewhere else. So don't drag and drop or move anything elsewhere, because Lightroom in general is very sensitive about where things are going and things are being, if things are misplaced. So here is my hard drive, and then I went to open up my Lightroom LR folder here, then I went to the LR cat, and then again, we're finally going to open it up, the Lightroom catalog. So the blue thumbnail here, double click that open. And now I've got my Lightroom catalog opened up, and I can also confirm that it is my Lightroom catalog because I can see right here it says 2021 underscore photo underscore my last name, or your last name rather, underscore LR cat. So it opened up in the develop area, which is the editing space, but basically just make sure when you're importing your photos, you're always going into the library. And all of this stuff is kind of what I went over the other day. So we already went over importing, but I'm going to go over that right now. So basically what you can do from here is you can, again, in your library, you can go ahead and put in your SD card with your raw images in it, or you can certainly also go to the import button here. So if, for instance, when you put your SD card in, you will basically, it should open up to this tab, which is your Lightroom importing window. If not, then you can just put your SD card in, and if nothing shows up, you can go ahead and go into the import button here, which will lead you to the same spot, and that's also in your library. A couple other things about this, which I mentioned last time, these are the little arrows for your Lightroom, basically your like window of Lightroom, and they can all be closed down and opened down, or opened up rather. So please just keep them all opened just because that way you can see it how it should be seen, and that way things don't go missing. So I'm gonna go ahead and put in my SD card. And also at this point, like your hard drive should be in your computer and it should stay in your computer until you're done with editing and you're done with Lightroom, your Lightroom catalog for the day. And then while that's going on, you're going to have your SD card in your computer at the same time. So whatever you need to do to get your SD card in there, if that's another adapter to add to your computer, do what you need to do. So now we're in the import window, and this is the big, really important stuff right here, which is that destination. So I'm going to go through everything from start to finish. Basically, here we have where are the images, like where are you getting the images from. The middle is what images are you going to bring in or do you want to bring in. And the last part, this third area, is the most important part, which is the destination. So here, your SD card may be called something different. Mine is called EOS Digital. It looks like a little SD card right here, so just try to look for what that's called. If you have questions about that, you can go to your local disk in your PC and try to look at what that is called, or I can see it right here. If I just close down in my desktop on an Apple computer, I can see it's called EOS Digital. So I know that's the right one. So I'm going to open this up and expand it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my EOS Digital right here. And I am also going to just let you know that if for any reasons you can't see all your images, like let's say you go all the way to the bottom and you can't find your images and you swore you took some more images, what you can do is actually go to your EOS Digital here. It's underneath your other files. If you ever need to import for some reason through your desktop, you can also do that through like your Macintosh HD and go to your users and your name. Sorry, this is just for Apple. So if you're on a PC, you want to find that a different way. And this is just an example if you ever need to import anything from your desktop for any reason, just to show you another way. And then like there's my desktop. So that's one example, but of course we're always going to go through our SD card and then we're going to move it to our hard drive. So if you are missing your images, like this one says no photos found, you can just go ahead and include subfolders, or you can just click that right here. It's the same thing. And then I'm going to scroll up so you can see my images. You might have like a couple, like your SD card might make a couple different folders, like 100 Canon, 101 Canon, 102 Canon, 103 Canon, and maybe those images for some reason are not showing up in this main one. They should, but sometimes that's happened where they don't show up. So just be aware of that, that sometimes if you're not seeing your images, they might be in another folder underneath your EOS Digital. So I'm going to go back to this top one, and that's really where you should be if you don't have any issues with finding it. So usually whatever is connected to your computer will always be up here if it's not your hard drive. So it should be like your SD card or your camera adapter, or sorry, your camera adapter or your SD card adapter, whatever it will most likely pop up here. And then again, if you want to eject after import, you can do that, but just be aware that after you import your photos, Lightroom will automatically eject your SD card, but you will have to manually pull that out and store it back into your camera. So just don't forget that. That's really a step that I don't encourage to do when you are at McHenry County College, because when you're in the digital lab, often students that keep that check, they'll forget to put their SD card back into their bag or into their camera, and then they lose their SD card or something like that. So we don't want that to happen. So whichever way makes the most sense to you, I like to go ahead and keep that unchecked so that at the end of the day, I can go ahead and see that both my SD card and my hard drive are both still there, and I will go ahead and eject those. So um, here we are, we've selected the SD card. Decide if you want to eject after import or if you don't. I'm going to keep that unchecked. And you want to stay in copy right in that middle there. So I don't know if you were able to see that, but basically copy right in the middle, that's what you need to select. There's other options like move, add, copy as DNG. You want to make sure you are in the middle at copy at the top. So make sure you're copying. And then you can go ahead and grab your images. So I'm gonna actually, like, as you can see, the last time we imported, I had don't import suspected duplicates on the right side checked. So that means these images are already imported into my Lightroom, and I can see that they are because they're grayed out. For any reason, if you ever need to re-import those images, or let's say you imported them accidentally onto the hard drive of your computer rather than your portable hard drive, you can certainly uncheck this and then re-bring them back in. And you can also do move or add, but I would always recommend that you're just copying. Like for me, I would rather be safe than sorry, and yeah, it might be an extra, a set of photos that you could have just moved or added to your catalog, but I would just recommend that you're just copying just to be safe. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually just keep this checked because we already imported some photos, and I want to go through some of the tools that I showed you how to go and select your photos. So we picked our SD card and we chose copy at the top. And the next step is to choose your images. So you can certainly just bring them all in if that's what you want to do. Um, which is actually can be a good thing. So like, let's say you already imported all your photos from a project and then you can still see them there. Then you took a new round of images and these are all your new images. You can just certainly go ahead and go through the steps here then to import. That is fine. Or if you want to be more selective, you can do that too. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and uncheck all. And from here, I'm going to go ahead and select my images. So I could go around here and click that little checkbox and grab all the images that I want like this, but that's going to take a whole lifetime. So what I would recommend, I'm unchecking them now, is that actually you can go ahead and select them by highlighting them and then going on to checking that box. So as you can see right now, the import button at the bottom is grayed out. I can't even click it because we have to actually select an image. So let's say if I check this box, then the import button becomes active. So that's the only way that you'll be able to import. But what I'm going to do is actually just highlight this image by clicking anywhere in the image. I usually like to say in the middle. And you can still see it's not able to import because I haven't gone to that extra step to check that box. So what you could do is you could actually hold Command on your computer, which is next to your spacebar, and that is for Apple computers. If you're on a PC, you'll be holding Control, which is a couple buttons away from Command, and you would basically hold Control down instead. So anytime I'm giving you um, a command, just know for PC users that you're going to be using Control instead. So I'm going to hold down Command this whole time. I'm still holding it down. And as I'm holding Command down, or Control if you're on a PC, I'm going to click these images at the same time. So I'm still holding Command down and clicking at the same time. Now I'm able to grab these images, and maybe let's say I don't want this one or this one. And those are the images that I want. So I'm still holding Command. You can basically select or unselect. But as you can see, I still am not able to import. So what I have to do next is just click that box. That will then click or check all of the boxes at the same time because they're all highlighted. And then those are the images that I could select. If you want to be a little bit more like doing things in a row, which I personally like to do instead of going all around and selecting different images. What I do is I'll click the first one and I'm going to hold Shift on your computer. This is the same thing for Apple and PC, so Shift on your computer. I'm going to hold that down and then I'm going to click the last one. That's going to activate just these 3 rows, and those are the images that I'm going to bring in today. So I'll go ahead and click on, actually, let me bring some different images